This is Monticello Dam's east side of the dam. This is where the hydroelectric project happens. This was added on in 1983 as an addition. Initially, it wasn't ever thought that they were going to have this, but in 83 they decided to add it on. The Solano Irrigation District funded the project. You can see that there's a trickle of water coming out right now, but when the spillway is overflowing, it actually flows right into Peel Creek. I think this is an added risk because it is an addition to the dam that wasn't planned initially. So it makes you question what happened to the infrastructure on the inside. The factor, I think, is that there's really not much protecting the dam. When it was built in 53, but was finished in 57. But now their idea after 9/11 to protect the dam is that they just have these concrete barriers. This is referred to as the glory hole. It's kind of a silly name, but it's the spillway. So when it reaches its capacity, just 410 feet deep, the water actually flows over the top. Last year we saw it with the rainy season. Right now you can see it's actually pretty far from the top. You can also see our dam and see how far it is from the top. When it's really full, you can see the water line. But right now, you can see the water's beautiful, green, calm, and it's summertime. When I referred to the water coming out of the other side of the dam, this is what contributes to it flowing quickly, is when it's flowing over into the spillway. This is iconic. This is part of the Suisun City area. It's in Solano County. It's the Delta that we call it. It has 1,100 plus miles of levee. We have 100 and 200 year levees. There's a bunch of FEMA and state resources that are directed. This all was increased after a series of El Nino floods in 1998 that had flooded the marshlands and then caused a series of levee breaches. When the levee breaches happened, they realized that there needed to be much needed improvements to the area to keep the levees maintained on a regular basis. There was also an additional levee break in 2005 that flooded all the way across Highway 80, which is 8 lanes of highway. That levee breach happened approximately 5 miles from here. This is part of our local area hunting preserve, so they use the levees to also flood the lands to attract the local waterfowl. This is part of the most beautiful area, but with beauty comes danger, as this is where all our floods come from. This is the other side of the delta. This is the opposite side of where we saw earlier, where the levee systems were highlighted. This is part of our historical background. This is our downtown Suisun. As a small town, we don't have much, but this is where we have social gatherings, weddings, church services. This is a really important part of our society. We even have a little fake lighthouse. Not a real lighthouse, just a fake one. This is Babs. This is probably the #1 most popular restaurant in our little town. It used to be on a little side street, and when we revitalized our waterfront, it was built here. This is by far the #1 breakfast spot in our city. This is our boat launch. Our boat launch is really important to us. This is our gateway to the Delta. This is where all the summer activities start. This is where people get their boats in the water to watch 4th of July fireworks. This is where the fall striper derby season starts. It's by putting your boat in the water rather, right here. As people in Celebrity Cribs would say, this is where the magic happens. Our beautiful little Suisun, it's had a rough history. We've been affected by earthquakes. We've been affected by major flooding. We've also had our fair share of fires. Things that we need to take steps to is making sure that our levee system is maintained and monitored for breaches. We need to make sure that we dredge and make sure that our channels are clear. We also need to ensure that our little town, because it's really old, is retrofitted, not only with earthquake preparedness, but also with fire safety in mind. We've had a fire recently that started as a grass fire that we ended up losing almost an entire neighborhood to. That's something that shouldn't happen in 2020, but unfortunately with these older homes, when one goes, it turns into a tinderbox and it just makes a run down the street. All these things would help make where a disaster wouldn't overly affect a community and able to quickly recover, because sometimes disasters just happen and you can't stop them. Getting our downtown back to normal would keep the heart of the city alive. We don't have much here. We have a Walmart and we have a downtown. The town of 30,000 people approximately. We don't have much to live for, but this beautiful building in front of me is our city hall. And our waterfront is where we gather. This is where the boats are. This is where people that come fishing. This is where our restaurants are. It may not seem like much to other people that live in really big cities, but to us it's everything. And I think people that come from bigger cities sometimes forget that even the little things matter, especially to little towns.